Chân bị đối chân này miên đấy nè. Therefore for cái đấy miên bị ra yes.
Okay, and it shows that they are to live in this way because they know that God's rescue is coming.
Chân được biết luôn nơi đặc biệt xa sự thay đổi ở sinh khâm, cứ chưa được biết để cái ai sinh khâm tham miên tạiประเทศđể anh dương mau xa thì lại.
Their behavior will show that they believe this truth, not so that they earn God's salvation.
Chân ở nhà bọn nó bảo cái men chưa được biết về cái luôn nơi đặc biệt ở ban nơi ở đây để bẹt sập hạt đây đi.
Perhaps you remember when we looked in level 1 at the Bible overview, the story that God gave his commandments to his people after he'd rescued them.
Nơi trong thả vẹn mũi như riêng ban ông bi ca sinh khách nịt tức thực hiện công ty đồng mũi ban đồng lực ở khơi trà. Pre ban ở cực vị này đầu cái nấu bê bẩn tốt bị pre sung cuồng kỳ.
So the commands taught his people how to live as his rescued people.
Chân cực bên này ao khơi bê để pre đồng lọt cái đồng bê cái ruột nấu nông niêm chỉ pre để pre ban đồng lọt kỳ.
And that is what Isaiah is saying in verse 1. Now Mark said that there has been snow in London. And because it gets so cold, we have heating to keep us warm in our houses. But if the boiler, the gas boiler, if it breaks down, I really need the engineer to come to fix it. Now if I'm told that the engineer is coming, so I must wait inside the house for him to come. But then I go away. Do I believe the engineer is coming? No. It shows that I'm not expecting him to come. But if I wait in for the engineer to come and I move things out of the way so he can reach the boiler, it shows that I believe the engineer is coming to fix it. In the same way, God's people, when they act on what he says, they show faith in what he's promised. Their behavior will show whether or not they believe he is coming to rescue. But what will that look like day by day in their lives? Isaiah tells us in verse 2. It is in ways that would be very familiar to Jewish believers at the time. You read verse 2. What God is speaking of is being faithful to his covenant with his people. The prophets like Isaiah were calling the people back to be faithful to God's covenant.
ក្នុងនាមអេសាយជាហោរារបស់ព្រះលោកត្រូវដើរតួនាទីដើម្បីពីវិនិយោគឲ្យរាជរបស់ព្រះអង្គត្រឡប់ទៅរកកិច្ចសន្យាសម្ព័ន្ធភាពរបស់ព្រះអង្គឡើងវិញ
The Sabbath was important because it marked God's people out as his people.
អញ្ចឹងហើយសម្ព័ន្ធភាពដែលព្រះអង្គបានដាក់ជាមួយគ្នានោះគឺថាគេត្រូវតែរំលឹកនឹករឿងថ្ងៃសម្រាប់ដែលព្រះអង្គចែងនៅក្នុងរាជរបស់ទ្រង់
It pointed back to God's creation of the world and him sustaining it since then.
តែចឹងថ្ងៃសម្រាប់នេះមិនមែនគ្រាន់តែសម័យដែលរំដោះគេជាយេស៊ូវត្រឡប់ទៅរកប្រភពនៃជីវិតដើមណព្រះអង្គជាប្រភពដែលបង្កើតថ្ងៃដំបូងដែលព្រះអង្គជាម្ចាស់នៃថ្ងៃឈប់សម្រាកនោះព្រះអង្គរក្សាអ្វីទាំងអស់នោះហើយជាប្រពុតឲ្យរឹកនឹកចាំរឿងដើមរបស់យើងដែលមានព្រះជាអ្នកឲ្យយើង
It also pointed to his rescue of his people at the Exodus.
អញ្ចឹងមិនគ្រាន់តែរំលឹកអំពីព្រះបង្កើតផ្ទៃមេឃខណ្ឌដីប៉ុន្តែដំណើរដើមចងយើងជាមនុស្សមានបាបបានធ្លាក់ទៅទីសកលជាពេលវេលាត្រូវដឹងថាព្រះជាអ្នកដែលរំដោះយើងចេញពីទីសកលអេស៊ីបដែរ
Keeping God's commandments is not just keeping the commands for the sake of it.
អញ្ចឹងការរក្សាសម្ព័ន្ធភាពមិនមែនកាន់ក្រឹតវិន័យខ្ជាប់ខ្ជួនកាន់សិល10ឬក្រឹតវិន័យទាំង10នោះទេ
What matters is the attitude behind it, and it is being loyal to God in the ways that he has told his people.
ភាពមនុស្សដែលមានក្រឹតវិន័យរបស់ព្រះគឺជាបុគ្គលដែលសម្ដែងភាពស្មោះត្រង់ជាមួយព្រះភក្តីជាមួយព្រះអង្គ
You remember Jesus said that he came to fulfill the law and the prophets.
ចាំបានទេព្រះយេស៊ូវយាងមកដោយព្រះអង្គថាខ្ញុំមកគឺដើម្បីបំពេញក្រឹតវិន័យដែលចែងដែលហោរាបានចែងពីមុនមក
Well, we'll be thinking about the law and the prophets during this week.
អញ្ចឹងហើយបានជាក្នុងមួយអាទិត្យនេះយើងនឹងរៀនអំពីតើទូទីហោរាត្រូវអធិប្បាយមិនក្រឹតវិន័យនិយាយតាក់ទងនេះដោយរបៀបយ៉ាងណា
Jesus also taught Christians how we are to live now as God's new covenant people.
ម្ល៉េះហើយបានយើងជាគ្រីស្ទបរិស័ទជឿរៀបក្នុងព្រះយេស៊ូវត្រូវដឹងថាតើយើងរស់នៅក្នុងនាមជារាជដែលស្ថិតនៅក្នុងសម្ព័ន្ធភាពកិច្ចសន្យារបស់ព្រះអង្គតើរបៀបយ៉ាងម៉េច
And he said, John 14, verse 15,
ចឹងហើយបានក្នុងជំពូកយ៉ូហានជំពូក14ខ15
If you love me, you will keep my commandments.
ហើយព្រះយេស៊ូវថាបើអ្នកស្រឡាញ់ខ្ញុំកាន់ក្រឹតវិន័យមក
So you see, it's no different in the New Testament to what it is in the Old Testament.
ចឹងអត់មានភាពខុសគ្នារវាងគម្ពីរសញ្ញាចាស់និងសញ្ញាថ្មីពាក្យថាកាន់ក្រឹតវិន័យកាន់ក្រឹតច្បាប់ក្រមដែលឯងដាក់នៅចំពោះឯងរាល់គ្នានោះ
To truly know and love Christ is to obey him.
ចឹងមានន័យថាមិនការស្គាល់ព្រះយេស៊ូវច្បាស់ការស្គាល់ព្រះអង្គព្រះយេស៊ូវនោះគឺជាការរក្សាប្រព័ន្ធព្រះអង្គហើយជាការកាន់
And that is what God is saying here at the beginning of Isaiah 56 as well.
មកហើយបានជាខនៅក្នុងខ1ខ2បានបញ្ជាក់អំពីអេករិយាបថជំនឿនៅចំពោះព្រះ
That his rescued people are to live as rescued people.
អញ្ចឹងហើយបានសម្ដែងនៅអេករិយាបថនៅក្នុងជំនឿគឺជាការរស់នៅឲ្យដឹងថាព្រះអង្គជាម្ចាស់ដែលបានរំដោះគេសង្គ្រោះគេចេញពីទីសភាព
And that they demonstrate their trust in his salvation as they also wait for that salvation to arrive.
អញ្ចឹងអេករិយាបថមិនមែនគាត់សម្ដែងនៅក្នុងជំនឿតែអេករិយាបថគឺជាពុទ្ធជីវិតដែលត្រូវដឹងអំពីសេចក្តីសង្គ្រោះដែលព្រះរំដោះគេ
That's how God wants Christians today to live as well.
មកហើយបានជារឿងនេះលើកទឹកចិត្តយើងដែរតែក្នុងនាមយើងជាគ្រីស្ទបរិស័ទក៏ត្រូវរស់នៅក្នុងជំនឿនៅក្នុងអង្គព្រះយេស៊ូវយ៉ាងដូចនោះដែរតែព្រះអង្គរំដោះយើងចេញពីអំពើបាប
We're to live in faithfulness to him as we await his final return.
អញ្ចឹងរបៀបកាន់ក្រឹតវិន័យគឺស្គាល់ព្រះយេស៊ូវឲ្យច្បាស់ដើម្បីរងចាំស្គាល់ព្រះយេស៊ូវដើម្បីរងចាំនៅពេលព្រះយេស៊ូវត្រឡប់មកជាលើកទី2រស់នៅដោយភាពស្មោះត្រង់និងភក្តីចំពោះទ្រង់
Then there will be the final judgment and his kingdom completely established.
អំឡោះឲ្យពេលនោះយើងនឹងដឹងថាអ្នកដែលកាន់ក្រឹតវិន័យពិតប្រាកដជាណារាជជាណាចក្ររបស់ព្រះអង្គនឹងចាប់ផ្ដើមលេចជារូបភាពឡើងយើងនឹងដឹងថាតើនគររបស់ព្រះអង្គសម្រាប់ចំពោះមនុស្សសុចរិតនឹងយ៉ាងដូចម្តេច
And many of Jesus' parables teach us about living in the waiting time before his return.
លោកឲ្យមុននឹងរងចាំថាខ្លាយនឹងជារាជដែលនឹងទទួលពរនោះគឺព្រះអង្គបានយករឿងប្រស្នាជាច្រើនដែលនិយាយអំពីអ្នកដែលត្រូវត្រៀមជីវិតដើម្បីរងចាំការយាងមករបស់ព្រះយេស៊ូវ
So the first thing we see in this passage is the behavior that God expects of his people.
លោកឲ្យបានចំណុចទី1គឺព្រះអង្គបង្រៀនអំពីអរិយាប័ត្រដែលព្រះរំពឹងចង់បានពីកូនរបស់ព្រះអង្គ
The second thing is the individuals whom God gathers to his people.
ចំណុចទី2គឺជាការដែលព្រះអង្គរំដោះឬក៏ត្រាស់ហៅគេឲ្យគេមកព្រះឯកព្រះអង្គរៀងខ្លួនឬម្នាក់
The individuals God gathers.
ជាមានព្រះអង្គហៅគេម្នាក់មករកព្រះអង្គ
When Isaiah was writing these words, it was around the 7th century BC.
មុនពេលដែលព្រះអង្គគេឬក៏ពីនេះបានចាចែងយើងដឹងថាប្រវត្តិមុនពេលនេះគឺប្រហែលជា700ឆ្នាំមុនគ្រិស្តសករាជ
And to belong to God's chosen people, it meant that you had to be a Jew and you needed to be circumcised if you were a male.
ប្រវត្តិសាស្ត្របានចែងថាដើម្បីខ្លាចជាសាសយូដាមិនមែនគ្រាន់កាត់បវរយំងាទេតែកាត់ស្បែកជាសម្គាល់
And you needed to keep the demands of the covenant, as we've just seen.
ចឹងដល់ពេលយើងអានយើងទៅរំលឹកដើម្បីខ្លាយជារាជជាសាសអ៊ីស្រាអែលត្រូវតែកាត់ស្បែកតាមកិច្ចយ៉ាងកិច្ចសន្យាដែលព្រះធ្វើជាមួយអាប់រ៉ាហាំ
And there were a few exceptions.
អញ្ចឹងមានចំណុចមួយនោះគឺជាករណីលើកលែង
For example, Rahab in the book of Joshua.
ដូចជារឿងស្ត្រីរ៉ាហាប់នៅក្នុងគម្ពីរយូស្វេ
She demonstrated her trust in the Lord and became part of God's people.
ទោះបីនាងមិនមែនជាសាសអ៊ីស្រាអែលប៉ុន្តែបានបង្ហាញពីជំនឿនៅក្នុងព្រះអង្គនាងបានខ្លាយសង្គ្រោះដោយព្រោះតែនៅក្នុងសម្ព័ន្ធភាពរបស់ព្រះដែរ
Also Ruth in the book of Ruth again showed her faith in the Lord.
ហើយទោះបីនាងរស់ទោះបីនាងមិនមែនជាសាសដែលកើតកំណើតក្នុងអ៊ីស្រាអែលមែនពិតនាងសាសដទៃប៉ុន្តែនាងខ្លាយទៅជាគ្រួសារដោយជំនឿដោយព្រោះនាងមានជំនឿនៅក្នុងព្រះដែរ
But these were the exceptions.
នេះហើយករណីលើកលែងមិនកើតមកតែការស្បែកប្រុសស្រីមែនទេ
And Deuteronomy chapter 23 taught that those who were eunuchs were not allowed into the assembly of the Lord.
អញ្ចឹងហើយបានគម្ពីរទុកចតយកថាចំពុក23អ្នកណាដែលមានលក្ខណៈដែលខុសពីធម្មតាมันអាចខ្លាយជារាជរបស់ព្រះអង្គបានដែរដូចជាពិការដូចជាខ្វាក់អីចឹងណាបាទ
Was that a demonstrative?
Okay.
Was that described? Okay. Because I just need to make sure that it's translated correctly into Khmer, because when I was teaching in Myanmar, the translation in the Bible wasn't accurate into their Bible. So it speaks about castration.
Castrate, I think you can castrate, ne?
That's what being a eunuch is.
But no copy. គេថា straight គឺជាលក្ខណៈខុសពីធម្មតាជីវិតមនុស្សដែលមានយល់គូអង្គលេខ straight មាន straight គឺគូការបកប្រែឲ្យលោកគូច្រឡំ repeat for those who have been castrated.
Yeah. So that is what it says in Deuteronomy chapter
នៅក្នុងឥឡូវយើងបើកនៅក្នុង verse you know the specific verse
23 verse 1.
នៅក្នុងចតយថា 23 ខ 1 បើកនឹងពាក្យនឹងវាមានដែរមានពាក្យ castrated ចឹងយើងពាក្យនឹងជាក់យ៉ាងម៉េចចឹងយើងต้องបញ្ជាក់ឲ្យយល់ពាក្យបើចឹងថាអ្នកណាដែលត្រូវរបួសឃើញទេត្រង់ពង castrated មានតែរបួសត្រង់ពងមិនកាត់ពងទេណាមិនកាត់ចុងទេណារបួសពងបាទអាចកប៉ៅអាចខើបជាអីស្វាយប្រវេសឲ្យយើងទៅក្បែរពងណាហ្នឹងនិយាយកាត់ស្បែកលេខកើត You understand?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's the same in Isaiah 56. So if we turn back to now the expression the assembly of the Lord is the same as the church, the community of God's people. In the New Testament.
ដើម្បីខ្លាយជារាជរបស់ព្រះអង្គគឺមិនមែនគឺត្រូវមានលក្ខណៈពិសេសបាទមិនជាលក្ខណៈទៅរាជណាបាទ
Now that same chapter in Deuteronomy 23, goes on to explain about foreigners as well, not being part of the assembly of the Lord. And so it says that foreigners like Ammonites and Moabites were not allowed in the assembly. So God's people were exclusive. It was God's instruction, and not just anybody could join. It was a sort of closed club. And that is why God speaks about foreigners and eunuchs in Isaiah 56, verses 3 to 6. They are people who are excluded from God's people through no fault of their own. But that is going to change, says God. God is opening up His community. So for those who've been on the outside, the doors are being marvelously opened wide. It is for those who bind themselves to the Lord. And that is meaning that they commit themselves to follow Him, to trust Him. As we read through the book of Isaiah, there is this growing vision of a worldwide community worshipping God. Isaiah 40 speaks great words of promise, of speaking of the people coming back from exile. But here in chapter 56, God speaks of others being gathered in as well. Look at verse 8 in chapter 56. So the Lord reiterates, He repeats His promise to gather His people from Babylon, but also to add in other people. And we see it happening in the Gospels. There are times when Jesus meets people who are Gentiles. And as those people come to Him, He shows mercy and He welcomes them. A Canaanite woman whose daughter is possessed by an evil spirit. A Roman centurion with a sick servant. A Samaritan woman who has had 5 husbands. And Jesus says, I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also, and they will listen to my voice. That's in John's Gospel, chapter 10. We see it in the book of Acts as well. And the most wonderful example is when the deacon Philip is sent by the Spirit to meet an Ethiopian official. It is in Acts chapter 8. Maybe you want to keep your finger in this passage and turn to Acts chapter 8. This Ethiopian is in his chariot on the road to Gaza. But the man is doubly excluded. He's excluded for 2 reasons from God's people. First of all, because he is a foreigner, an Ethiopian. And then secondly, because he is a eunuch. He has no hope. And yet, as he reads about the Lord's servant in Isaiah chapter 53, and he asks Philip who this is about, Philip explains the gospel about the Lord Jesus. As the man puts his trust in the Lord Jesus, he is converted. He enters the assembly of the Lord, the Christian church. It shows us how wonderfully inclusive our gracious God is. He now accepts people from any and every background who commit themselves to him. If they love and serve him, it doesn't matter their race, their social status, their former beliefs, their old way of life. Now verse 7 of this passage is quoted by Jesus when he clears the temple. It's in Matthew, Mark and Luke's Gospel. As Jesus clears the temple, he says, "My house will be called a house of prayer for all nations." As Jesus quotes it, he is reinforcing Isaiah's message. And as he throws the money changers out, it is so that the Gentiles may come in. Now that makes me think, are there things in our churches which unnecessarily exclude people? Do we have non-biblical ideas about what people should do or be like in order to join our church? Are there people from a different economic or educational background? I remember being very shocked to hear somebody in our church said, "Oh, that person would never fit into our church." But are there other ways in which you may discriminate against people? Perhaps because of the dialect, a language, the ethnic group they may come from. Or because of what they have done in the past. In both Singapore and England, sometimes people do not want to welcome people who've been in prison into the church. What is wonderful for me in my church that I'm part of is seeing people from many different nations and languages becoming part of the church. And I want that to happen more and more. It could be that we ourselves think, I don't really feel as if I belong in the church so much. Or there may be people that you are pastoring in your churches who say that they feel different to everybody else and therefore they don't belong. But if our trust is in the Lord Jesus, then God fully accepts us. It's important to remind ourselves and these people that we need to see ourselves as the Lord sees us. And to keep listening to His welcome. Because the third thing from this passage is the future that God promises to His people. The future God promises. Just think for a moment what the people of Judah had faced. 70 years in Babylon. Away from their homes, from their familiar culture. But most of all, away from God's presence in the temple in Jerusalem. But now by returning to the land, there's the possibility to worship and serve him there once again. But it isn't only the people of Judah who will experience it. The foreigner and the eunuch who trust and commit themselves will enjoy it as well. In verse 3, God anticipates the question or the objection that the foreigner and eunuch may have. So have you read both what the foreigner and the eunuch said? Great, okay. So it is a pretty graphic description. Being a foreigner to Israel meant that you were excluded. And the eunuch is a dry tree, almost. So if you see a tree that is dead, that has no leaves on it, it won't have any fruit on it. It has no life in it. And the eunuch has no fruit-bearing ability. So there's no opportunity for children, for the future, for generations. And so for both the foreigner living in the land and the eunuch, they seem to have no hope. But now God says that will change. Look at verse 4. Can you read verse 4? ត្បិតព្រះយេហូវ៉ាទ្រង់មានបន្ទូលពីពួកគំរាមដែលរក្សាថ្ងៃសម្រាប់ទាំងប៉ុន្មានហើយក៏រើសយកអ្វីៗដែលពាក់ចិត្តអញព្រមទាំងកាន់ភ្ជាប់តាមសេចក្តីសន្យារបស់អញ And verse 6 for the foreigner ហើយសាសដទៃដែលកាន់ភ្ជាប់នឹងព្រះយេហូវ៉ាដើម្បីធ្វើការងារទ្រង់ហើយស្រឡាញ់ព្រះនាមព្រះយេហូវ៉ាព្រមទាំងធ្វើការបម្រើទ្រង់គឺគ្រប់ទាំងអ្នកដែលរក្សាថ្ងៃសម្រាប់ឥតបំផាន់ឡើយគឺកាន់តាមគ្រប់ទាំងសេចក្តីសញ្ញារបស់អញ Well, what does God promise? What are the benefits? The heritage, the inheritance is from God Himself. God explains it in verse 5 and verse 7. First of all, for the eunuch, verse 5. Can you read verse 5?
anh đừng nói kia đi chúa đâu ọc cõi chỉ mình.
God says He will give a name better than sons and daughters.
Cho nên bảo anh đừng nói chúa tại chúa đi bị sai chim côn bảo anh để cao sai chim anh để chúa đâu bị sai.
The family name of the eunuch would die out.
Chứ cả na tụi cô sa cao mà không tụi cô cái đặt chúa tam tụi cô nó cứ bị slap bị bắt bóng đá.
And yet God promises a better name than sons and daughters.
Tại vì sai chim côn để anh đặt được sai rồi lại cô chào anh không? Vì sai chim mình được yên.
God is saying that what He promises is better.
Chứ à vây để vây để press on này cứ bị sai chim bị một.
Then in verse 7,
for
the foreigners.
Nụ anh nên nôm một ai nôm bò được của anh, hay cái bạn o sập bay được không đồng nặng của anh, sập ra tị thàn, anh nên từ tua học trên đầu vai tốt nhanh buổi chiều học cái ai được lựa action từ bậc anh, nên bạn hao chỉ tị ai thàn sập ra học tiếng sai.
Notice the repetition of the word my house. That was the place where God's people were able to bring their prayers and offer their sacrifices for their sins to be forgiven. This was as close as you possibly could get to God on earth. And now there is no second class, no court of the Gentiles anymore. Now remember, Isaiah is using language and terms that his first hearers would understand. So he is speaking about access into God's presence. And what God promises will more than compensate for whatever they never experienced before. They are better than. He offers eternal security. They will not be cut off. It is an astounding picture. In Singapore, I found that even Christians would get confused about the blessings that God would have for us. They would think of them simply as the blessings here and now, as good as those ones might be. They think of wealth or of family. I don't know if that is a temptation for Christians here. But what God is promising here is better. These people will no longer be excluded. No longer a distinction between the person who has a visa to stay temporarily and the citizen who has been born there. All have full rights. All will have the best. It doesn't matter their ethnic background or the language or nationality. And God considers that these are the blessings most worth having. Of being part of His people forever. These are the blessings that we should want to have above all others. Every spiritual blessing in Christ. That is what we should want. And this is the group, the community that we can rejoice to be part of. This is what the Apostle Paul wrote in Ephesians chapter 2. Ephesians chapter 2 verses 12 and 13. Ephesians 2 verse 12 and 13.
អ្នករាល់គ្នានៅទីទេពីព្រះគ្រីស្ទក៏ឃ្លាតចេញពីអំណាចនៃជាតិសាសន៍អ៊ីស្រាអែលផងក៏ជាមនុស្សដទៃខាងសញ្ញាដែលទ្រង់បានសន្យាទុកឥតមានសង្ឃឹមហើយគ្មានព្រះនៅក្នុងលោកីនេះដែរតែឥឡូវនេះនៅក្នុងព្រះយេស៊ូវនោះអ្នករាល់គ្នាដែលពីដើមនៅឆ្ងាយក៏បានមកឲ្យជិតវិញដោយសារលោហិតរបស់ទ្រង់អាមែន
You see how Paul is using the words and ideas that are there in Isaiah 56. That is the purpose for our existence. It is to be near God. And that is what God has done for us through Christ's death on the cross. You see, all of us from the Old Testament perspective are foreigners. But as a Christian, you are now as near as you can possibly get to God this side of heaven. And there will be nothing to stop you having full access to God's presence when you finally reach home. And it is all because of Jesus' finished work on the cross. That is the memorial, that is the name to want for your life above everything else. That is the privilege that you have secured above everything else, the community to belong to. Your prayers heard and accepted. And it is all because of the finished work of the Lord Jesus and His incredible love for us. Have we grasped this? Do we realize the enormity of what it is to be a Christian believer before we're even a pastor or leader? May God's word encourage our hearts at the start of this week as we look at the Old Testament.
បិតាអរគុណព្រះអង្គដែលព្រះអង្គបានឆ្លាញ់យើងដើម្បីយើងកាន់តែជារៀនដែលមានសង្ឃឹមក្នុងទុកមិនត្រឹមតែប៉ុណ្ណោះព្រះអង្គបានតម្រូវឲ្យយើងខ្ញុំមានអរិយាប័ត្រដែលព្រះអង្គចង់បានក្តីជំនឿត្រឡប់ទៅរកជីវិតដែលស្គាល់ព្រះអង្គជាប្រភពនៃជីវិតទី2គឺព្រះអង្គមិនមែនគ្រាន់តែរាប់ថាយើងជាបុគ្គលដែលសក្តិទេគឺព្រះអង្គបានរាប់យើងបានជាសត្វដែលអាចចូលទៅដំណាក់នឹងថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះអង្គដែរព្រះអង្គសម្លាញ់យើងខ្ញុំព្រះអង្គបង្កាន់វណ្ណៈទោះបីយើងខ្ញុំពីមុនយើងជាសក្តិទេថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះដែលយើងមានមែនប៉ុន្តែព្រោះតែប្រគុណដែលមានបំណងតាំងពីដើមរៀនមកព្រះអង្គបានឲ្យសម្រេចក្នុងអង្គព្រះយេស៊ូវយើងខ្ញុំអរគុណទ្រង់អរគុណព្រះអង្គហើយត្រឹមប៉ុណ្ណោះសោតយើងក៏អរគុណដែលព្រះអង្គដូចជាព្រះបានប្រទានពរឲ្យយើងខ្ញុំបានទទួលបាននូវក្តីសង្ឃឹមគឺជាក្តីសង្ឃឹមដែលយើងចូលទីលានដំណាក់ក្នុងការថ្វាយបង្គំព្រះអង្គពីព្រោះគ្រប់ពេលគ្រប់វេលាយើងអាចចូលទៅរកព្រះអង្គបានគ្រប់ពេលដោយមិនមានឧបសគ្គរនាំខាងខាត់មិនឲ្យយើងស្រែករកព្រះអង្គនោះឡើយអាមែនព្រះអង្គគ្រប់ពេលព្រះអង្គស្ដាប់យើងដូចជាគេជាជួសដែលព្រះអង្គបានធ្វើគ្រប់យ៉ាងសម្រាប់ជីវិតយើងដោយសូមឲ្យយើងបើកភ្នែកងើបមុខឡើងមោទនភាពនៅអ្វីដែលព្រះបានកំពុងធ្វើឲ្យយើងម្នាក់ៗមានសង្ឃឹមនៅក្នុងអង្គខ្ញុំអរគុណនៅពេលវេលានេះជាមួយគ្នាក្នុងនាមព្រះយេស៊ូវគ្រីស្ទអាមែន Thank you.